Carson Kressley.
Yeah. Please, everybody seated. No, sit down, sit down. Hi, everyone. Well, thanks for coming out to Barnes & Noble for this really special event. I am thrilled to be here. My name is Carson Kressley, and you're thinking, why is the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy introducing Robert Herjavec? Is there something? Well, we're very good friends, and I'm just so happy to be here moderating. And I just think he's, first of all, he's a great friend of mine. He's a spectacular human being, but he's incredibly smart and incredibly successful. And I love that this book is called, what is it called? I know what it's called. You Don't Have to Be a Shark, because Robert Herjavec, our guest of honor, is proof positive that you can be extremely successful and still be a nice guy. So without further ado, please welcome, lots of noise, big applause for my friend and our author of the evening, Robert Herjavec.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Carson. That was so nice of you.
Yes.
You never say nice things about me like that in private.
Well, not in front of you. I don't want you to get a big head or anything.
Yeah, thank you.
So everybody has their books, right? Yes. And I know you want to...
Wow, look at all the people, Carson.
I know, it's standing room only, packed house. So I just think this is such a fantastic book because it's for real everyday people that want to learn about business, want to learn about sales, and try to emulate your amazing success.
Did you like the chapter I wrote about you?
I thought it was beautiful. And I know it's not in this particular book, but I did read it on the internet. So we're not going to do a whole big Q&A because I think, you guys all came because you wanted to have some time and some one-on-one interaction with Robert and maybe ask him some amazing questions about his road to success. I mean, one of the most spectacular things I think is, you came over from Croatia on a steamship. I know he doesn't look that old, but it was just, what was the name of it?
Electricity wasn't invented then.
Right,
Yeah.
Only steam.
Yeah. It was called to make it even more melodramatic.
Right.
The boat was called the Cristoforo Colombo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you couldn't write this stuff.
No.
I mean, it's incredible. What's amazing is I didn't even know that was the name of the ship.
Okay.
Right, because when you come over as an immigrant, you really don't want to think about that time.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to forget about it. And then Kevin, the mean bald guy on our show, and I are Canadian. And we used to do a show in Canada called Dragon's Den, which was the Canadian version of Shark Tank. And 3 years into the show, this lady calls up and she goes, "Oh, I'm such a big fan, blah, blah, blah. I actually run Pier 44, which is like the Canadian version of Ellis Island."
Right, is it in Halifax?
In Halifax. And she says, "I have a picture of the boat that your mom, your dad, and you are on docking in Halifax." And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me. Can you send me the picture?" She sends me the picture and it says Cristoforo Colombo on it. I'm like, oh my God, how melodramatic is that? But you went to see it when you were in Halifax.
Yeah, we did a Dancing with the Stars cruise, and Kim Johnson, his fiance, and I were there, and we were like, oh my God, we saw the model of your ship and where it came in, and we went to the exhibit. We didn't stay long, we went shopping, but we did go and see that because we care.
Thank you. It's incredible, we actually wanted to come to America because my dad loved America. He always thought America is the land of opportunity, which it is. I really believe that, even this day and age. I mean, where else can you go and really have the ability to make anything of yourself, good or bad, and get second chances and all that stuff? But America wouldn't take us.
Really?
The immigration policy wouldn't take us, and Canada did.
Huh.
And so that's why I'm so touchy about the whole immigration thing in the current election. I'm very touchy about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where did you immigrate from?
Pennsylvania. I was almost Amish. No, I'm serious. I had a buggy and everything. And I think, were you excited how old were you when you came here?
I was 8 years old, and I grew up on a little farm with dirt floors, the whole 9 yards. My grandmother raised me. And coming here, I was really excited, right? Because I was on a boat.
Right.
I'd never been in a boat. And I came here, and it was all so exciting. And we lived in someone's basement, but I thought it was really cool. It was
like Laverne and Shirley. They lived in the basement too. Look at them.
That's true. And I got there, and it was great until the day I went to school. And back then, they didn't have English classes for immigrants. They threw you in a classroom, and I was sitting there, didn't understand what people were saying, and then I went to recess, and I'm like, this is so confusing. And then these kids made fun of me. And at first they came up to me and they started pushing me around, and I'm like, oh, they want to be my friend.
Right.
They're a little aggressive. And then they were making fun of me. And I found another Croatian kid, and he says, you're an idiot. They're making fun of you because you're poor. And I was like, I'm poor? I didn't know we were poor until we got here. And then it wasn't that much fun for the next few years.
And everyone thinks the Canadians are so friendly. I mean, do you think that was part of, you know, what drove you to such success? Is that you felt like you were kind of, you know, made fun of, and you were like, I was going to prove them wrong?
Yeah, for sure. I felt like I never fit in, and I felt like I wasn't strong enough, or I wasn't good at athletics, or I wasn't good at anything when I was young. So I was always the outsider, and then I felt if I made a lot of money one day, or just became successful at something, I could really, you know, show it to them. And I hate to admit it, it's going to make me sound incredibly vain, but when I first bought my first really fancy car, the first thing I did was
what are we talking about? Like a Kia Sophia, like fully loaded, or like a Ferrari or something?
Like a Ferrari, and I actually drove it back to that neighborhood. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to show everybody I'm driving this fancy car through this really crappy neighborhood. And of course, nobody's there anymore.
Right.
And I'm thinking, this is so stupid. But
it motivated you.
It did motivate me. And then, you know, somewhere along the path, you know, when you're an immigrant, you realize you're kind of, you know, again, I hate to admit it, God, I sound like an awful person. I was really embarrassed of my parents.
Right.
Because, you know, my dad was poor, and he talked funny. He talked like this. And for anybody who's from Eastern Europe, my dad wore this like hat made of fur that they wear in Eastern Europe, this V-shaped thing. But Carson, he wore it even in the summer. You know,
like that conviction.
And I'm like, Dad, it's 90 degrees outside. He goes, no, my head's cold. And you know, I realized along the way that they really sacrificed to get me here and give me this opportunity, and I think that really motivated me.
And did you always know, like in the back of your mind, that you were going to be wildly successful? And what was your path to where you are now? Because I think a lot of, you know, especially young people, they want to emulate that. Was it about education? Was it about work experience? Did you have a mentor? How did you get from, you know, immigrant kid who didn't speak English to being, you know, multi-millionaire?
I remember being, so the first answer is no. Mark Cuban and I had lunch one time, and he said to me, you know, when I was 12 years old, I knew I was going to be rich. And I remember thinking, wow, at 12, I didn't know that. I just didn't want to be poor. Like, I had no concept of I'm going to build this great company. I just didn't want to live like we're living. But I remember, Carson, when I was 17, I remember the average house in Toronto at the time cost $300,000. And I remember thinking, oh, you have to put down 20%. So I was trying to calculate, how am I ever going to earn enough money to actually buy a house and then pay it off? And I remember thinking, oh my God, if you work for somebody, even if you make $50,000 a year, you pay tax. And I remember being so frustrated thinking, how are you ever going to get ahead? Because I think in North America, the hardest thing to do is build equity. Because people that come from wealth just assume they have money. And when you're poor and you're an immigrant, you don't have any money. And it's how do you accumulate it? And then I thought, wow, if I could ever start a business and sell it, I could make some money.
So how did you start that? And what was that first business?
I was actually in the film business when I was really young. I used to do TV commercials. I did a TV commercial for Kraft cheese.
Really?
Oh, that flavor. Yeah, it didn't go well.
I'm gonna find that.
And then I produced the Winter Olympics when I was 19 years old for Canada. I was, sounds really impressive,
Was
right?
it Torino? What was
Sarajevo, Yugoslavia.
Perfect.
So it sounds bigger than it is, but I was working as a crappy low-level job at a TV station in this big open room like this where the reporters all sat and the director sat in the middle. and they just won the rights for the Winter Olympics because somebody else backed out. But they were in a week, and she's sitting in the middle, and she goes, where the hell am I gonna find somebody who speaks Yugoslavian by tomorrow? And I'm like, hi. And she looked at me, she goes, you're going to Yugoslavia tomorrow. And I go, what am I doing? She goes, you're the producer.
Wow.
And that was it, that's how I got the job. So I go there and I produced the Winter Olympics, and it was great. And my head becomes this big. Like, you can't get my head through a doorway. You know, like I'm gonna, you know, I'm meeting women and or girls, and I'm going, hi, I'm a TV producer.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I'm gonna move to California and become the next Martin Scorsese, and I can't get a job. I can't get a job anywhere, there's no films going on. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a loser. And I'm 20 now, and my roommate has a doctorate in math and a degree in computer science. Steve, who's still one of my good friends. And he had gone for an interview for a computer job. The president of IBM had quit IBM and started a computer company and was looking for employee number 1. You have to have 5 years of sales experience or 7 years of engineering experience. And so my friend applied, he didn't get the job, and I'm like, computer is boring, who cares? But the starting salary was $30,000. I'm like, forget computers, I gotta get this job. So I called the guy up after Steve didn't get the job, and I talked my way into an interview, and I talked the guy into hiring me.
And that was the start.
And that was the start. So I'm sitting down with this guy, his name was Denis Raymond, he was from Quebec, and he's sitting there and he's like, talking to me, he's like, hang on a second, do you have any sales experience? I'm like, no. He says, do you have a lot of computer experience? I said, no. So he asked me a little bit about computer mainframe stuff. Do you know what an IBM 3270 is? I'm like, an IBM what? And so he gets up to go, and for some reason, I don't know where I got the courage, I'm thinking, if I'm ever gonna change careers, this is the moment. Everybody's gonna need a computer one day. So I say, you have to hire me. He says, well, you have no experience, how am I gonna hire you? And I say, well, you're looking for the first employee. I'll work for free. So he's like standing up now, he wants me to leave, and he looks at me and says, you seem like a nice kid, but if I hire you for free, I can't depend on you. And in an act of ultimate courage I've never been able to replicate, I put out my hand and I say, oh no, sir, you can depend on me. And he looks at me and he starts to put his hand out, and I say, one condition. If you hire me, in 6 months, if I learn the job, you'll pay me what you would have paid me if I had the experience. We shake hands, and I got in the computer business. And the great thing is, in the computer business, every 3 years, it completely changes. We call it eats its own young. So at 20, I got in the computer business before the PC was invented. By 30, I was one of the top people in the world for computer stuff. I love that about it.
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity now, just general computers there.
And what do you do in cybersecurity? I still don't really understand. Tell us about that.
That's okay, because I've logged onto your credit cards and bought all kinds of stuff.
Oh, you did? Good luck with that. I don't really have a very high limit.
You do now.
$400.
So we're in the cybersecurity business. I have a company I started 11 years ago. Started with 2 guys. We did 400,000 sales. We'll do 158 million this year with offices all around the world, almost 300 employees. So, it's a very scary world right now. There's all kinds of bad people trying to steal your information. By the way, never do your online banking at a Starbucks or at a Barnes & Noble or any kind of public Wi-Fi. People always forget that public Wi-Fi is public first. And it's one of the most common places that people steal your identity.
Really? Good to know.
Yeah.
And then how did Shark Tank happen?
So Shark Tank happened because we did Dragons then in Canada, and then they started doing the American version. I didn't even know about it. They already had Kevin. They had a whole bunch of sharks, and it wasn't really working. There was a misbalance on the cast, because Kevin can be a little mean sometimes. And so they were saying, we need somebody who can kind of balance it out. So one of the producers happened to see the Canadian show and said, we should bring that guy. And Mark Burnett called me and says, hey, we want you to do Shark Tank. And I was like, Shark what? He said, it's the American version.
Right.
I said, love to. And he said, oh, great, but we start filming tomorrow. And so there you go. I was the last one there. But like I always say, it doesn't matter how you get there.
Right.
It's up to you to take advantage of the opportunity. And there was 5 sharks originally, and here we are 7 years later.
Who's your favorite shark?
Barbara.
I love Barbara.
Yeah, she's great. She is really, really, she says it like it is. And in real life, she's really like that. She's really driven, highly motivated. I mean, I love all of them. I love Damon. We're good friends. His kids are good friends with my kids. I mean, they're all great people. Even Kevin. Even Kevin and I are friends.
Mm-hmm. And so how many companies are you invested with from Shark Tank?
I think it's over 30, 36 or 43 or something like that. And the thing is, all of us have teams of people that now run them. And I always like to say, I think I have the best track record. I think our rate is about 12.8% return across the entire 7 years, which sounds really good, but it's deceiving. Because there are some that are on life support, and they haven't died yet, so it hasn't brought our rate down. And we're trying to keep them on life support, so it keeps my average really good.
What are some of your favorites or the best performers that people would have seen on the show, and maybe give us some inside scoop?
My favorite one is a product called Tipsy Elves. So one guy was a doctor, one guy's a lawyer. They're tired of being doctors and lawyers. And they
walk into a bar. Carry on.
So they do a Google search on things most searched for businesses, and they come across ugly Christmas sweaters. They're saying, well, how do we make it different? So they say, we're going to make inappropriate ugly Christmas sweaters. Like 3 reindeer doing it.
I have that onesie. Thank you. No, I do.
He does.
I wore it for Christmas.
Send it to him for Christmas.
My mom couldn't even tell the reindeer were humping one another, so it was genius. It was subversive and sassy. I loved it.
You can't tell.
No,
and Santa,
but I knew.
No. And they came on the show and they were doing $600,000 a year. And the other shark said, it's ridiculous. It's a sweater company. No one's going to pay that kind of money for it. But I thought we could always expand because I thought I had a great brand and that kind of stuff. And that was 3 years ago, and this year we'll do $17 million. Wow. Yeah, it's great. We sell sweaters for $80, we're making for $6. It's a great business. Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to start making ugly Easter sweaters. Remind me about that.
Damn it, I shouldn't have told you about that.
I think we should take questions from the audience because they're all here to pick your brain. So who has a question? I'll Sally, Jesse, Raphael it and come out into the audience.
Wow.
Yeah. And very accessible. Anybody? Oh, over here. Oh, excuse me. Oh, pardon me. Excuse me. Lady with the baby. Oh, excuse me. Hi, what's your name? Spider.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Robert.
Hi.
Where is the show taped?
We actually, great question. The show is taped here in LA in Culver City. What people don't realize about our show is we're the highest bought show on network television. ABC bought 35 episodes last year. To give you an idea, the average network show is 12 episodes, like Dancing with the Stars or Law and Order, and it takes 3 months to film. We're 35 episodes. How many days of filming do you think we do? 17, which is really low. When I was on Dancing with the Stars, and so was Carson, I filmed 75 days in a row. I was out of my mind. And I never read the contract. I thought, 12 episodes, how long can it take? 75. Mind you, on Dancing with the Stars, you get to hang out with Kim and, Kim Johnson, and Shark Tank get to hang out with Kevin. It's not the same. But it's all filmed here. It's a great show. We film 8 days in June, 9 in September. We never film more than 3 days in a row because we're not very good. We're not actors. That's what people don't realize. It's, oh, you're so good on TV. And I'm like, it's just me. And then people are like, is Kevin really that mean? I'm like, it's just Kevin. We never film more than 3 days in a row because we can't act. What's funny now, because it's such a big show, we get invited to all kinds of other shows, and people invite us, and then they give us a script, and they realize, oh my God, they can't act. How do we ask them to leave now? So, yeah, it's a great show. Do you realize that the average pitch in front of us is an hour. So no matter, when you watch it on TV, it's 7 to 8 minutes. The longest pitch was 2.5 hours. Damon got up, left, went to the Sony cafeteria, had lunch, came back, the guy was still pitching. True story. Shortest pitch was 40 minutes. No matter how long or short, it gets edited into 7 to 8 minutes. We know nothing about them. Literally nothing. And in fact, when you get on the show, there's a box there that says, have you ever met any of the sharks? And the only time we stop filming, because it's very live, is if one of us recognizes somebody who pitched this before. One of us will say, hey, didn't I meet you a year ago at an airport and you pitched me? If that happens, they stop filming and you gotta leave. Because we all have to have the same level of information.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, Spider, you know I like that. Oh, good, I don't have to walk at all.
Hi, Robert.
Hi.
Love you on your show, and
Thank you.
loved you and Kim on Dancing with the Stars.
She was so lucky to meet me, wasn't she? Oh my God. You know, I think back and I think, how lucky was she, Carson?
Amazing.
Yeah.
My question is, do you have an advice on pitfalls in business, maybe just one that you've encountered or you've experienced with some of your entrepreneurs that you can share with us?
You know, it's funny, we sit around at lunch and we talk about this all the time. As you would expect 5 people in business, what do we talk about? Business. And I'm really motivated by what makes people successful. I'm really motivated by learning, how do you take one person from the same background and they fail at life, and you take somebody with the same background, they're very successful. And especially because I think in this country, we have more opportunity than anywhere. Like I have no family in North America besides my kids. All my family's back in Eastern Europe. And to them, America, like they talk about America like some fairy tale lands. They really do. They say, oh my God, if I could get to America one day. And so what makes somebody successful? I think the one thing that we agree on is when people fail in business, it's typically their inability to absorb failure. You know, in business, you hear the word no and you get rejected way more than you ever win. And so it's your ability to adapt. You know, like the Tipsy Elves guys that I told you about, we were doing good with the ugly Christmas sweaters, but then we were doing so good, a lot of competitors came in. So we changed. Now we make onesies, like Carson said. We now make ski outfits. We now make St. Patrick's Day, you know, sweaters. Great entrepreneurs adapt to the situation. They have the ability to see the wall before they hit it.
Arbor Day sweaters. It's just an idea. I don't know. Just trying to expand the market.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's James.
Where are you from, James?
I'm from LA. I'm a huge fan, Robert. You're great.
Thank you.
Quick question. So I'm interested in starting like an enterprise software company. And like when you started your business and you got the first meeting and the pitch meeting went well, how do you close the sale? Do you offer a free trial? Like how do you get them to sign on? And when people say, who else is using it, and you don't have any other clients yet, how do you answer that?
Wow, so some great questions there. So sales is not about pushing somebody to something. You know, the key to enterprise sales, the great thing about enterprise sales means selling to big companies as opposed to consumers. And the thing I love about enterprise sales is when you start a company out of your basement and you want to sell to consumers, your challenge is leverage and reach. Like even if you sell one person, how do you sell to thousands? So I'm always wary when people start a small business that's dependent on a lot of consumers. The other thing that scares the crap out of me is a retail-based business. So when I started in business, people said to me, you'll never make it because in life, to make money, you need what? Money. I didn't have any money. And then the other big piece of advice I got was, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Right. And my mom was a receptionist, my dad swept floors in a factory, and we had no money. So one of the things I did is I said, well, I don't want to get into a business where I have to spend $1 in inventory before I sell something, right? Retail, you have to sign a lease for multiple years. And that's the thing, you gotta be honest with yourself. If you have no money and you really want to do a retail store, you can't. You gotta give up on that and start a different business. I love enterprise because you can just call on customers, you look them up, who the big companies are, pick up the phone, go see them. Your challenge is enterprise customers typically don't like to buy stuff that nobody else is using. So don't lie to yourself. If you have no customers, you're not going to do well. What I would do is I would go to a bunch of enterprise customers and say, hey, I have a great deal for you. I'll give you this software for free. I'll implement it for you for 3 months, and I'll give you an enterprise license for the next 3 years in exchange for a reference. So if I do a good job for you, will you be a reference for me? Because in business, people always want to know what their competitors are doing. So if you want to sell to a big retail company, go and call on them and tell them what their competitor's doing and they're using your software.
Excellent. Oh, we have a question. What's your name? Noah. Where are you from?
Here.
Oh, here. Okay, fantastic. What's your question for Robert?
I think you could teach people a lot about life, and I want to make the world better, and I want to know if you have any advice.
Wow, Noah, thank you very much. That's a great question. And that's a
Miss Universe
beautiful
up in
name. Is that a nickname or is that your real name?
Real name.
Wow, I have a good friend of mine. His name is Noah. He's one of my best friends. He was on the show Dancing with the Stars with me 3 seasons ago. And it's really embarrassing because he doesn't have an arm or a leg and he danced better than me. Yeah, how awkward and embarrassing is that, right, Noah? You know, I think you have to make the world better in your own way because better is different for everybody, right? But I think one of the great things we've learned is you've got to make a certain amount of money. You've got to take care of your family and your sister or your friends before you can take care of the world. And that's what we try to say to people. We used to do a show. One of the most common things people say to me is, why don't you do a Shark Tank for charities? Because, you know, you guys have lots of money. Wouldn't it be great to see some charities pitch on there? And why do you think we've never done a show like that? What do you guys think?
No profit.
Because the sharks always have to look good. And imagine a show. We did a show in Canada one time where these charities came and pitched us. And so, you know, we invested in one, we gave them money, and we did it in the others. Show airs, horrible feedback. They're like, oh my God, there was, you know, you didn't invest in the charity for the blind, or you didn't invest in, because you can't invest in everything. And so what they realized was, if you're gonna do a charity on the show, we better invest in every one of them, because otherwise you'll look like a jerk. And so we never do that. We really try to stay away from, you know, a charity tank or making the world a better place kind of stuff, because that's what you get. Kevin has a great line. He says, the purpose of a business is not to do charity. The purpose of a business is to make a profit. It's up to you what you do with that profit.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm going to go all the way back here, unsecured area. Oh, excuse me.
Are you safe back there,
I
Carson?
think I'll be okay. They look a little rough back here. I'm nervous. Okay, what's your name?
Steve,
Where are you from, Steve?
West LA.
And what's your question?
You have to think about that, Carson. I'm a little scared for you.
See, I'm getting a little nervous, Steve.
Robert, why would you sell a LaFerrari?
Profit. Yeah, I had this, so there's this special car I had called the LaFerrari, and it was one of the rarest cars in the world, and it cost like $1.5 million at 1,000 horsepower to wait 4 years to get it. And it's very hard to get, and I got it, and I love this car. And then a year later, I realized, oh, there's only 500 people in the world that got it, and 10,000 people. So imagine how much wealth there is in the world. Think about this. Just to get your name on the application, you have to own 3 Ferraris and put down a $250,000 deposit. They have 10,000 applications. And I got one of them. And a year later, I was like, it's a really cool car, but I wonder if I could make a profit on it. And I did, and Ferrari hates when you do that, so they kicked me out of the Ferrari family. But I recently got back in. I had to go see the Pope, and you know, put a bunch of money in a brown paper bag and give it to a guy named Enzo under the table, drink a lot of espresso, but I'm back in the Ferrari family now. Yeah.
I hate when that happens. It happened to me with Mitsubishi. I want to get a Galant. What's your name?
My name is Gillette, like, you know, Gillette Razor. I was named after Gillette Razor, so my name is
Seriously?
Gillette. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's a great name.
Yeah. Actually, I'm immigrant. I came from the Philippines 10 years ago. And what's your advice to those immigrant or the people who came from different places to achieve American dream or to start all over again? What's your advice for that? Like how to start business, get to resources, or have a get connection for those people who barely came from other country or states? Thank you.
Well, here's the great thing about America. Nobody really cares where you're from. They really don't. You know, nobody cares. The greatest thing, you can take this as good or bad. What I've learned is nobody cares. Nobody cares about your pain, and nobody cares about your success after it's done. Now that's good and bad. The greatest thing about that is if you can add value, people will give you an opportunity. That's what I love about business in America, is if you can create something that saves people money or can help their business, they will buy it. And when you're young and you're starting out, this is very empowering. But as you get older, like my age, you realize nobody cares. Like I sold this thing called a firewall in North America. I go see customers now and they're like, who cares? What can you do for me today? And so it depends on what your attitude is. The fact that you're an immigrant, the fact that the person next to you comes from wealth, nobody cares. And so the thing I always say is, the world doesn't owe you anything, just an opportunity. Somebody worked really hard for you to come here. And I think especially as immigrants, it's up to you to make yourself successful. And I don't care if you want to do it for yourself, I don't care if you want to buy a Ferrari or a jet or whatever, it doesn't matter. But you owe it to the people that work their behinds to get you here, to make something of yourself. And you know, I've always really believed that. The only other thing I'll tell you is what I learned a long time ago is I used to think, oh my gosh, that person has it easier than me. Or, you know, they come from wealth or their family helped them. What I realized was, who am I complaining to? No one's listening. Not even my dad. He's like, who cares? Get a job. So what I always think the great equalizer in life is 24 hours. Everybody in life gets the exact same amount of time. And the farther you are down the totem pole, the harder you have to work, the less sleep you have to get. I used to, when I was in my 20s, I used to work till 1:30 in the morning and get up at 3 to learn the job I was doing that started at 5. And people at work would realize, hey, were you here at 5 o'clock this morning? I'm like, yeah. And people would say, are you not tired? And I'm going, of course I'm tired. But I'd rather be rich than well-rested. And so it's just a choice I made.
Excellent. Okay, we have time for like 2 more. I'm gonna just work.
Where did you go, Carson?
Oh, I just came. I'm back now.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. Okay, what's your name, sir?
Woody Clark. I'm also an immigrant from New England.
Is that near that Pennsylvania place?
It's near Bernie Sanders' home. But my son has a question for you. He's right here. No, you don't want to ask a question?
No, you're changing
Okay, I'll
your
ask.
mind. Okay, yeah.
I'll ask the question.
All right.
So, what's your next career move going to be?
I love the company. I've been working at this company 11 years. I'm more of an operator, so I love, everybody's different. Mark Cuban loves to invest money and never have you call him. I like to run things. I love to build stuff. I love to start a company, see it grow. So I'll stay with this for a while.
Okay, time for one. We'll do 2 more. We'll do you and then you.
Hello. Oops. I'm Andre. I'm from Costa Rica, and I'm also an immigrant, so I can really relate to the immigrant thing.
Are you here illegally?
No, but I came that way. Actually, I came through Canada, through the Victoria Island.
See, because Canadians love everybody.
That's correct.
Can you believe Kevin is Canadian? The meanest guy in Shark Tank is like from the nicest country. Anyway.
Anyhow, I know that there is a lot going on with immigration. Are you doing anything about it? Are you trying to help in this cause about immigration?
Immigration is really a government cause. I mean, I think It depends what happens with the election.
Right.
I mean, everybody in this country is an immigrant. The only natives are the North American native, people. Everybody's an immigrant. I don't understand why we make such a big deal of where people come from. I mean, I think in tech in Silicon Valley, it is a constant frustration because we want to get more people in who understand technology, and we have a really, really hard time in hiring people. So I think, everybody has an opportunity here.
Thank you.
Okay, last question. What's your name? Sawyer, where are you from?
Here.
Okay, fantastic.
Hi, Sawyer.
Hi, Mr. Herjavec.
Did you hear that, Carson? Called me Mr. Herjavec.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I need you to address me like that from now on, Carson. Thank you.
What does being a shark mean to you?
Wow, best question I've had. What does being a shark mean to me? When I was your age, I used to see people on TV who had these big fancy jobs or were like on a big show. And I always used to say, if I ever had that opportunity, I would always try to give the opportunity back. What being a shark to me means is giving people an opportunity. I love our show. We actually don't get paid very much to do the show. We all have businesses somewhere else, but I find it incredibly inspiring to be on the show. I get more out of it than the people that come on, because when you see those people come on, even the stupidest, craziest ideas, people watch at home and go, oh my God, that's stupid. They just threw them up there because it's a stupid idea for laughs. It's not. Even the craziest ones, those people really believe. And I gotta tell you, it is so motivating when you see people put it on the line and it's their dream. Because isn't that what America is about? Isn't it about trying to create something, putting it all out there and going for it? That's what being a shark to me means.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sawyer. Thanks, Robert. Now, everybody, get your copy of his book, and we're going to do the signing now, right? I don't know if there's any special rules, but I'm sure you're going to tell us.
Can everybody hold up their book so Robert can see how many people purchased this book tonight? Wow. Everybody here has the book. Now, what we're going to do is bring you up one at a time, one row at a time. So if you're in the back, we will let you in as soon as we get everybody seated. You must have the wristband, you must have the book. You can take pictures of Robert, but not with Robert. All right, so we're going to pull you up one row at a time.
Oh, I see. You go back there.
Thank you. I think that's the only way.
Хочешь я тебя с тобой футбол?
Are you from Russia? She's like following.
You have
Oh, go back that way and then turn around.
the way he split the test was like so to all of us to go, and then whoever was at the end goes first.
Oh, I see. Just line up and then
Yeah.
it's more organized that way.
I remember her, not you. Oh my God. It's Mary, yeah, thank you guys. We gave it to someone else.
Next row, if you want to stand up and move in line.
No, you go that way.
Be nonchalant about it.
Okay, next.
She's paying for the wedding.
Hold up, man.
Hi, how are you? Wow.
Next row, if you want to stand up.